Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com. Back today to talk about some comics. I'll do a pull list review for comics that I read in the first 2 weeks of June. Half dozen or so out of the 44 comics that I read for those 2 weeks. But first, I just want to say I'm back from vacation. The last video I put out, I mentioned that I was going to go on vacation and do a little recharge and just, have fun with my family, which I did. We went to the Oregon coast and spent nearly a week there. Went to this great Irish pub called Nana's in Newport, Oregon, where I imbibed a bunch of Guinness and cider, and also ate some wonderful Irish fare. While I was there, I actually did read some comics. So I wasn't totally away from the whole comic book scene, but I'll get to those comics in a future video. So let's see here. Before I get started, I did want to mention I released a couple videos before I went on vacation. Question of the day, and then I just wanted to have a commenter appreciation video, and I got a lot of feedback on that, so I wanted to thank everyone for that. That was really nice to get those comments and to get that feedback, so I appreciate that very much, so thank you again. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Let's talk about some comics, or at least I'll talk about some comics. First up is Astro City #1. This is the return of the Astro City comic after a long delay. Kurt Busiek has had some health problems, and then they have the whole New 52 launch. I remember Kurt Busiek, I think it was Kurt, who announced that Astro City was returning. This is 2 Emerald City Comic-Cons ago, I believe, and it never materialized. And but now, here we are, flash forward, and we get Astro City #1 under the Vertigo imprint, which that seems kind of weird to me, but given that Vertigo is, I don't know how well defined the goal or the mission statement, I guess, maybe of Vertigo is right now. It's in a period of flux, let's put it that way. Anyway, regardless, Astro City is back, and that's a good thing. This is by, as I said, Kurt Busiek. He's writing. Brent Anderson is back on art. Alex Ross is doing the covers. As you can see, this is the hero cover. There was also a villain cover that I did not get, and I like the heroes. And let's see, Alex Sinclair doing the colors, some other folks doing the inking. This was a really good issue. This is a great introduction or reintroduction to the series for lapsed readers like myself, and it serves as a good first issue for any potential new readers. So yes, if you're a first-time reader, you come into this and go, oh, there's some stuff that's going on, but you get just enough information to know who the major players are, and if you're paying attention, what the focus of Astro City is, which is really the street level view of the superhero world, which Astro City has done so well in previous incarnations. The plot of this starts off with this purple guy with green hair. The Broken Man is what he refers to himself as, talking to us, the reader, and he refers to if he told us everything, then that would take a dozen issues, and our eyes would glaze over. And in fact, at the end of the story, he makes a reference to or telling us not to turn the page, because that would be a bad thing. So you get a little bit of the fourth wall breaking, a little bit of meta storytelling going on here, but it's a nice way to frame the story, because he's talking about the events and the people in the Astro City universe. Old characters and new, so we see Samaritan again, Winged Victory, some of the other folks, and then new characters like let me find this, American Chibi. See there? Which, interesting. What the Broken Man says, Where does she come from? Robot cartoon come to life. 13-year-old anime fan who got her heart's desire, and this was it, or worse, a 35-year-old anime fan who got his heart's desire, which is nice humor in there. But again, the plot is really involving this appearance of this doorway that just floats above the city, and the various costumed citizens of Astro City confront the door, and then out of the doorway comes this. Oh, here's a nice 2-page spread of the various heroes trying to unlock the door. I don't know why they just don't go up and knock on it, but for some reason they decide that we should just blast at it. I don't know. I'm sure that's a commentary on superpowered people. Anyway, here's this guy that comes out, this alien, and what he wants is they're making peaceful contact, but they want a liaison between Earth and his people. But it can't be someone like the superpowered people. They want a normal Joe, and he gets that in the end. But it's a character. It's like I said, this series has always been about the street level view, the man's eye view of the people that fly above us. So in the end, this guy volunteers to do it, which is all par for the broken man's plot, I guess. But then we get that reveal at the end about the broken man and what he may really be. So pick it up if you haven't read Astro City before. Here's a great jumping on point. If you have read it and haven't, I guess, read more recent stuff, which I actually haven't. There's a lot of the Dark Age stuff, I guess it was called. I didn't read that, so this was a great way to rejoin the Astro City universe, and I'm very glad I did. So there's that. Next up, Legends of the Dark Knight #9. I only wanted to highlight this. There's 2 stories in here. There's the first story, which is Batman versus Scarecrow, sort of. Dreaming He is a Butterfly is the title. Written by Christus Gage, art by, and it's really difficult to read the lettering on here. I hate that. They should be more clear about that. But it's all weirdly written to, I guess, denote some sort of nightmarish quality. I don't know. Jeremy Rafik, I think. Colors by Carrie Strachan, and letters by Zelda Temafonte, I think. Wow, I don't know. I can't read it very well. Maybe I just need my eyes checked. Anyway, Batman is once again fighting Scarecrow and gets gassed, as he always does. What was interesting about this, though, was that basically the plot is Bruce wakes up and he's broken. He's a broken man. His legs are these really thin and weirdly shaped things. He's got scars everywhere. He's got this big old scar on his head where it looks like they've done some surgery on his brain. He's got, looks like a finger missing, I guess, on his left hand, or at least it's broken. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, come to find out, Alfred is taking care of him, and Bruce is like, "What happened to me?" And was the Scarecrow? And Alfred said, "Yes, it was Scarecrow. It was Bane. It was Joker. It was all of them." But ultimately, it was him, because Bruce is, as smart as he is, and as well trained as he is, he's just a man, and there's only so much damage a body can take, and which kind of ties into a little bit into the Dark Knight films, the Nolan Dark Knight films, because in the last one, The Dark Knight Rises, right? Is that the title? They do address that, where Bruce Wayne, I remember a scene from that where basically the doctor is saying his cartilage is all but gone in his knees or whatever it was. So it really brings that point home that Bruce is only human, and this could be his ultimate fate in time. But his mind also, all of the times he got smashed in the head and knocked unconscious by his enemies, as it says, blow after blow after blow to the head. He suffers some Parkinson's-like symptoms, dementia, memory loss, dissociation from reality. And so he dreams a fantasy life where he's still Batman and still contributing, but really he's not doing that, according to this story. And it's a really good story. I won't go into what happens in the end of it, but what I really found interesting in this is that Alfred is ticked off at Bruce because, and I'll just read it. Do you ever think about it, sir, what you could have accomplished with that mind and that Wayne family fortune? You could have saved lives around the world, educated thousands, even millions, provided medicine, clean water, humanitarian aid. What could you have invented if you hadn't been obsessed with countering Victor Freeze's ice gun or Poison Ivy's toxins? A clean energy source, a remedy for global warming, a cure for cancer. That could have been your legacy, your parents' legacy, if you hadn't wasted your life on some juvenile revenge fantasy. And the reason it just struck me is because I've often wondered that myself. What if Bruce had not pursued the life that he did and instead focused his energies elsewhere and in different ways? How much bigger of an impact would he have had on the world instead of just Gotham City? But then we wouldn't have Batman, would we? So anyway, you should at least pick this issue up. That's the nice thing about the Legends of the Dark Knight series is that they're I think so far they've just been standalone stories, so you can jump on any issue and just enjoy a good Batman story. So there you go. Next up, boy, I did not pre-order this when I saw it in previews for a couple reasons. One being having to do with money. The other having to do with who the writer was, but I was really drawn to it because of who the artist was. And but I didn't. But I did pick it up when I went to my local comic shop in Spokane, the comic book shop on Division Street, for anybody who happens to be watching these videos and is local to Spokane or that area. So, but I went into the comic book shop and on a whim I asked Matt, one of the managers there, and asked him, is this any good? And he said, you know what, despite who's writing it, I really enjoyed this. So he had issues 1 and 2 there. I picked them up. This is 10 Grand by J. Michael Straczynski and Ben Templesmith. That's the second release of issue 1, and then I got issue number 2 here. This involves a story of the main character here, who died and was brought back to life by an angel, apparently, to do the angel's bidding, which includes fighting, demons and whatnot. As an incentive, whenever this guy dies, he's granted 5 minutes with the woman that he loves, who also died when he was killed by a demon. And it's just really good. It really is up my alley in the sense that I like stories about angels and demons where angels aren't necessarily the good guys and demons aren't necessarily the bad guys, and that's definitely the case here. The main character here is pretty savvy in dealing with the situations, just from his own experiences. There's a nice little technological versus supernatural angle that I really like. He uses technology in a way to interact with the supernatural aspects, which I think that's just really cool. And Ben Templesmith, he's a great artist. He's got really a loose way of telling a story, but it's so striking and so memorable. So check this out if you haven't. It's pretty good. 10 Grand. The title comes from this guy charges people, so he helps people out too, as well as doing his missions. But certain people who have supernatural problems, we'll say, demonic problems, he charges them at least 10 grand to weed out all the crazies and the people who aren't really serious. So that's where you get the title. Anyway, I was really impressed by these 2 issues, so I told Matt at the comic book shop, hey, add this to my pull list. So I'm on board, at least for now, on that. All right, those are comics that came out the week of June 5th. Now we're moving on to the following week. And first up is the anthology series A1, which I believe is 6 issues. This is issue 1. This is from Titan Comics, but this is an anthology series that I did not know this until I did some research for this review. But A1 is a former anthology series from Atomica, I believe. It came out in 1989, and there were some other iterations of it. But now it's back. The reason I picked this, or decided to pre-order this, one, it's an anthology series, and I really like anthology series, or at least I like the idea of them. Many of them don't follow through very well on that idea, but anyway. But I saw the cover image in previews with the woman that looks like a magician pulling a rabbit out of the hat. I saw that, so that's the first thing I saw. I'm like, ooh, what is this? And so, like I said, it's an anthology series. There are 3 stories in here: The Weirding Willows, Carpe Diem, and Odyssey. And of the 3, I really liked the first one, The Weirding Willows. And let's see. And the reason I do is because you get... Oh, I'm sorry. This is by Dave Elliott. Art by Barnaby Bagenda. Colors Jessica Collin, and letters by Imam Wibowo. Boy, I hope I said that. With cover by Stanley Art Germlau. This is... I love these kinds of stories because it's a mashup of various fictional characters. Alan Moore does this a lot in his stuff, but this is a little different. So you get Alice from Alice in Wonderland. You have Dr. Moreau from the Island of Dr. Moreau. You have Henry Jekyll in here. A woman who is called Marguerite Marsh, and she's a very attractive young lady until she meets another character who's kind of coming on to her, and then she looks like an old man. So I feel like I should know who that is, who this character is, but I'm embarrassed to say I don't. So if you know, let me know. Let's see who else shows up. Farmer McGregor from Peter Rabbit. And also Dr. Dolittle. The White Rabbit shows up. Peter, I believe, and some other rabbits. I can't remember. I don't know all their names. They make reference to flying monkeys. Oh, in the end, Dr. Dolittle shows up, and he's got some creatures that he's bringing Dr. Moreau for his Moreau's experiments, and we see Mowgli show up from the Jungle Book along with Baloo and Bagheera. So I just love that mashup stuff, that taking these various characters from literature and throwing them together to see how they interact and what kind of story can be told with that. The second story is the Carpe Diem. That was a bit campy. This is by writer W.H. Ralph, art by Roald Marsilius, colors by Sakti Uwuno, letters by the same person that did the previous story. Looks like this person did the letters on all 3. Okay, so this is, like I said, it's kind of a campy, over-the-top story involving this group of people, and they're all named after days of the week. So we initially see Sir Monday, the super spy, and he promptly gets killed, and so the rest of his clan come together under the direction of Sir Eighth Day, who is the big boss, and he's just a guy with an 8-ball for a head. And see, so the rest of the group is, like I said, they're named after days of the week. Sir Tuesday, the Hooligan, Sir Wednesday, the Muscle, Sir Thursday, the Shaman, Sir Friday, the Assassin, Lady Saturday, the Sharpshooter, and Sir Sunday, the Guardian. And you get the splash page here with showing all of them going into battle. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with this one so far. You got Sir Eighth Day there coming through on the page, and so you got that weird bit of fourth wall busting in a way again. Anyway, we'll see where this goes. It's kind of forgettable to me. I mean, it's stylistic, so it's memorable in that sense, but it's not something I'm really drawn to. And then we get Odyssey. It's a World War II era story where it looks like a Captain America tale, and in fact, if you look at the, there we go, right there. I mean, it looks like a Captain America clone type story to me. Anyway, these people, these soldiers are given this serum. One presumes to produce a Captain America-like character. There's some, you get some symbols. It looks like magic, black magic going on here, perhaps. But the subject apparently dies, and they throw him into this pit along with a bunch of other soldiers, apparently, that met the same fate. One presumes that this guy will return and do something. I don't know. The art was really good. Did I talk about who did that? No, I didn't. So this is Odyssey was written by Dave Elliott, art by Gary Gastoni, colors by Uwono again, and like I said, letters by Wibowo. Say that 5 times fast. Uwono Wibowo. Like I said, the art was really good. It's somewhat realistic. It reminds me of, gosh, who am I thinking of? Never mind. I'm really bad with that. It reminds me of someone, but I can't think of who it is. So there you go. That's A1. I just want to talk really quick about Constantine number 4, because up until this point, I haven't liked this series. I'm giving it basically a 6-issue shot. I think I just pre-ordered number 6, but I was intending on that being my last issue because I haven't been enjoying it at all. But I got to this issue and actually enjoyed it. Actually enjoyed the story because it mostly instead of showing Constantine being a dick to everybody, which he is in this one, but it's a little different. He goes on a little bit of a walkabout and goes and talks to a few of his remaining friends, Zatanna being one of them, and he runs into this kid who is conning some people, and in fact was enlisted to basically, I think, take Constantine out. I think that's how I took that. Along the way, Constantine does some interesting spells. He gets beat up in the beginning, but he did a protection spell, and so after a certain amount of time, whoever it was that caused him that damage, it gets inflicted back on them. And so it just shows, this guy, Constantine, can be prepared and is a right bastard, but here it's kind of a neat turnaround on the bad guys of the story, the antagonists. So I like that. Plus there's this parrot that, or bird, I don't know if it was a parrot. I assumed it was a parrot, but now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, I think it's a parrot. Anyway, this parrot who can tell the future. So I thought that was interesting. I probably still won't stick with it, but number 4 was a departure for me, at least for this series. So I'd be really interested to see hear what Mr. Oddfellow's thoughts has to say about this, since he was such a John Constantine Hellblazer fan. All right, last one. Superman Unchained, number 1, Scott Snyder, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Dustin Nguyen on this. $4.99. $4.99. What did I? Oh man, I counted this up earlier, and now I don't remember. Crap. I think it's 22 pages altogether, and that includes the 2-page epilogue that's done by Dustin Nguyen. The cover is, I think, of a slightly heavier stock than most DC Comics. And then you get this, for those that haven't seen this, hold on one second. It's got this little tacky glue type stuff on it. But, so here, let me show you this. So, here it is. I'm going to mutilate my comic. Here it is. You fold it out. See? Oh, look, there's Superman. Only that's not all. Then you fold it up. This is not looking very good, sorry. There, you fold it up, you can get this little mini poster. Two-sided. You get this side. Look at that. There you go. So I guess that's why it was $4.99, because you get this poster-like thing. But let me tell you, not worth it. I mean, the one side is this big picture of this satellite that Superman flies through, with a bunch of dialogue boxes, and the next side is Superman. I'm not sure what he's doing exactly, but he's just kind of standing there doing muscly type Superman stuff. But none of it's really that impressive. In fact, when I first opened that up, and like I said, there's some tacky glue on here, glue tack, whatever, glue, some sort of glue thing. I wasn't even sure how to open this damn thing. I was afraid I was going to rip the pages. Frankly, pissed me off. But I did, and it's like, okay, I'm not that impressed. The story opens basically, though, in, again, what is with going back to World War II all the time in comics? It's like this. It's like Nazis being the bad guys. You know, it's just a really easy thing to do, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, there's it was Nagasaki, so it's the bombing of Nagasaki, right? And they show the bomb coming down. Only the bomb just kind of evaporates, and then there's this blue-looking guy who reminds me a little bit of like the Blue Superman, or Superman Blue, if you know what that's about from, I think it was from the 90s, so in the Superman comics when he turned into Electric Superman. Even before that, there was the I think it was in the 60s, the Superman Red and Blue stories, which I think they're imaginary stories, but that was an awesome story. Anyway, the implication here is that it wasn't the atomic bomb that took out Nagasaki in 1945. It was this energy being, and he comes back into it at the end of the story. But there's this nice little bit when they jump to the present with Superman when he's recollecting stuff on the farm that he used to do. That was all okay. There's this again. There's this. It's not a. It's some sort of space station that's got a solid core thermonuclear reactor, and it looks like at first it looks like he's destroying it, but then he saves the people in it. I don't know. There's weird storytelling that makes it look like Superman's trying to destroy it, but he's really not. So I'm not sure what they're going for there. I guess to show that he's unchained. He's Superman. He's super powerful, and I guess I don't know. Basically, he saves the astronauts, but pieces of the thing go down. Lex Luthor's in it, doing this really cool origami city in a book. I thought that was really cool. You get some stuff between Clark and Jimmy, which is nice, and Lois Lane there. Looking a little too, I don't know, dashing for newspaper reporter. I don't know, maybe. But notice these later 21st century. I don't know. I won't even say that. It's high-tech stuff that you don't normally see in a big metropolitan newspaper. I'm guessing. Not that I've ever been to one. It just seems a little too far-fetched. Although this is Metropolis, the city of the future, and the DC universe has always been a little bit more scientifically advanced. Well, not just the DC universe, just superhero comic universes in general seem to be more scientifically advanced than us. So I kind of just accept it with a grain of salt. But that seemed a little too much for the newspaper that we've known the Daily Planet to be. Superman goes after some of these pieces, or I think one piece of this satellite that he thought he got, but he didn't, which that seems weird. Anyway, turns out that there's this army base that no one knows about. Superman doesn't know about it, and we find out that that energy being is down in that base, and he's been working for the United States for nearly 75 years. And that's the end of the main story. And then there's this 2-page epilogue that's really forgettable, although I'm sure something will come of it. So there's that. Superman Unchained, #1. Man, I had such high hopes for this because Scott Snyder has really proven himself to me, at least, on his Batman series. And when they announced this new Superman Unchained series, I had a Twitter conversation with Travis, Mr. Oddfellow's Thoughts, wondering aloud if Scott Snyder, if the work on Batman, his work on Batman would, suffers too strong of a word, but perhaps he would be distracted because of his work on Superman Unchained, because this is a high-profile thing. It's Scott Snyder, the biggest Batman writer right now, working with co-publisher of DC Comics, Jim Lee, who's normally well thought of in the comic book community, I think, on the marquee character, marquee DC Comics character, superhero comics character for that matter. I mean, Superman started it all, right? And plus we had the Man of Steel movie coming out about the same time. So I think there's a lot of pressure. Anyway, I was just musing to Travis, wondering, how Scott would be able to perform with all these obligations, I'll say. And then somehow Scott, his attention was drawn to that. I'm not sure how, but he called and left a voicemail message for me to let me know that wasn't the case, that he's fully committed to Batman as well as this Superman story, and not to worry. And I believe him. I don't think that anything's going to suffer necessarily, but I have to say, given his work on Batman over the last near 2 years, I guess I expected a little bit more out of Superman Unchained. But compare that to my reaction to Batman initially with Scott Snyder at the helm. I wasn't all that impressed with that either, but it grew on me very quickly, and I recognized the level of quality that Snyder and Capullo brought to that series. So I expect the same here. I'm just really confused and not quite sure what to make of some of the choices that the writer and artist have made for this #1 issue. So but don't take my word for it. Check it out yourself. That's it for the comics, some of the comics that I read for the first 2 weeks of June. I'll be back again in several weeks' time to do the second half of June comics. I think that's just the pattern I'm gonna work towards. I don't get my comics weekly. I get them the following week, so it takes me a bit to get caught up, and then I kind of have to muse on what I've read, and then go back and read some of the things again, just to decide which titles I'm going to talk about. Otherwise, I'd be here forever talking about comics, and I got too many comics to read and too many other things to do. I got to do a podcast as well, and I have a family. I just have other obligations, so I can't just sit here and talk comic books with you guys. Be that as it may, that's it. look again soon for that next pull list review, and I have other videos coming. And appreciate the feedback, so send it my way. You can also email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Go read some comics. Bye.